Masters 2 is just around the corner, and I don't know about y'all, but the 24th of May cannot come soon enough. I'm so excited to watch the best of the best clash at LAN, and for one of the 10 teams to claim the title of best in the world. What's going on, ProGuides fam? It's your host Kangas, and today we're talking about regions competing in Masters 2 and trying to give some context on a constant discussion between fans of FPS, NA or EU. In CSGO, the answer has historically been mostly EU, but with a new game like Valorant, things could go very differently this time around. So we're breaking down the advantages that NA will have over EU and vice versa, as well as talk about some dark horses from the other regions that could potentially upset the powerhouses. So in case you haven't been following the Challenger circuit, let's catch you up to speed. There are 7 regions present at Masters 2. Korea, Southeast Asia, Japan, Latin America, Brazil, Europe, and of course, North America. The latter 3 are considered by the community to be major regions that have the best shot at winning the LAN, and this also shows with Riot's allocation of 2 team slots instead of 1 for each of them. The teams that won their qualifiers for Masters 2 get to compete in Reykjavik, which has been dubbed by some in the community as Iceland. Being the first international LAN for Valorant, this event will be a major tournament that will go down in Valorant history. Teams will no doubt be bringing their absolute best to prove themselves on the international stage. The teams locked in as of today are Fnatic and Team Liquid from Europe, New Turn Gaming from South Korea, Crazy Raccoons from Japan, X10 Esports from Southeast Asia, and Version 1 and Sentinels from North America. The team list will be finalized this Sunday when the Latin American and Brazilian regions complete their qualifiers. Now, before we give our opinions on each region, we got our question of the day. Which team or player are you most excited to see at Masters 2? Honestly, I just can't wait to see Sentinels and Tens compete on the international stage, but that's mostly because I'm a fanboy. But let me know who you're most excited for in the comments down below. Now, many of us may only be familiar with our own regions, such as North America or Europe, and how they play. So now it's time to add a little context on all the major regions' playstyles. Brazil is a region that thrives on playing fast and loose, enabling their extremely mechanical gifted duelists, such as players like MW0 and Jean, to steamroll bomb sites and crush the opposition. The top 4 teams in Brazil, Furia, Gamelanders, Sharks, and Vikings, are all still rocking the double duelist meta as it fits their playstyle and vision of the meta. Something that they really excel in is raw aggression, which to some may seem thoughtless or just needlessly random. Yet, if their aggressive play styles are able to fluster and pull their opponents down to their level, then the Brazilians will no doubt overwhelm their opponents with sheer skill. This could be achieved with just one pick on a crucial part of the map, or a fast peek that breaks apart a setup. There's a lot of potential for this playstyle that needs to be tested against structured teams. Which then leads us to the European style of play. Now, the 2 qualified European teams play a slow and methodical brand of Valorant, maximizing their utility usage and minimizing risks. Not only do they have the structure and strategy to help them succeed, but they also have the individual brilliance of players such as Scream and Durka to bail them out with mechanical aim when strategy isn't enough to seal the deal. Europe's brand of Valorant is one that is closest to the concept of how tactical FPS flourishes at the highest level, with careful yet exceptionally coordinated team play. In fact, Europe is one of the regions that have pushed the limits of controllers and have been the first to really embrace double controllers as a playstyle. They also have been running no duelists, favoring the flexibility of utility rather than explosive powers in the duelist kits. I mean, even recently, Liquid has been running 0 duelist compositions on Haven, with Scream on Sage and Yampi opting on Killjoy, the man after my own heart. While this could leave many people thinking that Liquid lacks explosive force, this composition is already deadly on defense, and on attacker side, players like Scream still open sights like shooting bots on the range. Even Fnatic takes turns putting Doma and Durka on non-duelists, and having them on other agents doesn't really affect their performance, and adds more value to the team because of their utility. We'll have to see how this methodical playstyle fares against aggressive setup breakers like Brazil and North America though. If they can find a way to pick apart the aggressive tendencies of the Western teams, Europe might just be able to shut down the opposition before they even get a chance to set the pace. Now, North America's playstyle is generally seen as somewhere in between these 2 examples. Sentinels, for example, have the structure and protocols in place so that they all know what they should be doing, with the leniency and freedom for players like Tens to go for an aggressive push or peek purely on instinct. This free-flowing playstyle is similar to the Brazilians in a way that they're comfortable with bringing the fight straight to the enemy. But they also have a strong grasp on map control and utility management that can also see methodical gameplay which plays on strategy and map knowledge. Meanwhile, version 1 seems to take this ideal to an interesting extreme, where they run compositions of double controllers with double duelists. This seems to maximize their explosive power while also covering their utility needs to work the map. However, with only one spot for a Sentinel or Initiator, it'll have to be seen how they approach limiting one side of the gameplay to make space for the best of both worlds and others. Oh, and by the way, if you're a fan of the North American playstyle with free-flowing aggression, come check out our website, ProGuides.com, because we recently teamed up with NA's representative Star Duelist, the one and only Tens from Sentinels, to release a Valorant course where he details the fundamentals and mindset to become a pro. And even after you watch this course, we also have Radiant and Immortal level coaches who are more than happy to help you implement Tens' insights into your gameplay as you climb the ranks. So, now that we know how the major regions play, let's talk about the ultimate rivalry in all competitive games, NA versus EU, and what this situation is looking like for Iceland. So EU teams have more often than not been setting the meta, or at least following very closely to it. Fnatic, for example, has been playing Viper and Bind since December, and their comp is widely considered the best on the map. There's a reason Fnatic have never lost Bind to a top-tier European team with their Viper double controller composition. Not only is it their most played map, but their almost spotless record has made teams like Team Liquid adopt or at least implement parts of it into their composition. Now this is a potential advantage for European teams over North America, as playing to the meta allows you to get the most out of agents that are very strong currently. Fnatic has been playing Viper way before she was buffed, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were saving strats for Masters too. This could make Bind a very dangerous map to play against EU on. But a point often brought up about European teams is that they may struggle against aggressive teams looking to disrupt their slow playstyle. A weakness that people often point out is that if a slow setup gets broken, then it often means the slower, more methodical teams will have problems getting control they need before running out of time. However, as seen at the EMEA Challengers Finals, the European teams had no issue thwarting the more aggressive play styles, with both Oxygen and Futbolists, very aggressive Turkish playmaking teams, getting swept 2-0 by Fnatic and Guild respectively. Now, we don't have to look that far back for an example of this happening to Sentinels. Version 1 beat them 13-4 on Ascent, with Vanity going 27 on Astra. Typically, controllers don't get as much action, so for Vanity's Astra to get so many kills means that they were doing something right with their controller agents. Another advantage that could play into the hands of Europe is the distinct lack of VODs of their games. Whenever a team makes roster moves, fans want to watch them play, and teams want to see what new strategies they use. Liquid's new roster with Jappy played 13 best of 3s before their first game was streamed. That's 2 months of officials without anyone getting to study the roster except for their opponents after the game. That would never fly in North America, as we all love to watch the top North American teams duke it out on a weekly basis. The streamless open brackets of EU VCT was a source of major outcry for months, leading people to not know how good teams were, making it very hard for them to be illustrated and leaving fans unable to watch their favorite teams compete. This could work in Fnatic and Liquid's favor, as they have been running strats in those games that haven't really been seen since, making them impossible to counter-strat reliably. And then you compare that to every noticeable Sentinels game being streamed seemingly, which gives Fnatic and Liquid's coaching staff a huge selection of games to watch from and break down. Additionally, with how methodically European Valorant is, counter-strats and finding gaps in their playstyle is even more important for the more aggressive teams in Brazil and North America, as breaking a setup is going to be top priority on their list. But with how little VODs there are, this can be very difficult. Europe is a region that is stacked beyond belief with top-level talent that is ready to get their shot. Durka is one of Europe's latest hidden gems, who has since dominated Tier 1 European opposition and elevated Fnatic to new heights. Combine this with Screen and Jampy, and you can expect some exceptional gameplay at Iceland. Although I'm not saying that Europe has a better talent pool or that their stars are better than the North Americans or Brazilians, I'm saying that these players have what it takes to dominate in an already super competitive and highly versatile region, and I can't wait to see what they can do against international teams. Similarly to Europe, NA could potentially have several factors that could provide an advantage over European teams. NA is renowned for its aggressive operator usage, and both Penny and Tens fit the bill. If you're not familiar with CNED, CNED is an extremely aggressive, in-your-face European operator that has been a representative of NA's playstyle. He blew apart the European titans of FPX and Heretics, teams that are known for their tactical team play and slow, suffocating playstyle. This lack of conformity to the European meta has the potential to work against the European teams, as Europeans will have a harder time reading almost dumb aggression. But if you catch your opponents off guard, is it really dumb at that point? Now, the new look Fnatic even lost 2-1 on Ascent with a 13-1 spanking on Icebox. CNED dropped an unfathomable 70 kills throughout the series, showing that aggression is a duelist's best friend. Tens and Penny both are extremely aggressive duelist players and could see the same success against European teams if they don't find a way to keep them in check. TenZ is a wild card for Sentinels. His extremely aggressive playstyle is unpredictable and could make European teams play more careful or even throw them off of their gameplay completely. Canadian Star is more than capable of taking a game into his own hands and making even the most unwinnable rounds possible. This wildcard style play is what made CSGO's Fnatic so oppressive and powerful back in the era of dominance. The reason TenZ gets away with so much in NA, besides his incredible read on the game, is that players fear him and his unforgiving aim. If he can instill the same fear into Liquid or Fnatic, then it could force a team that favors utility to use way too much of it against him, potentially hurting their game plan. North America will definitely be looking to find a way to break the structure of European teams with a looser and more aggressive playstyle, which actually could be a very big advantage in a LAN environment. Because European teams are much more structured and try to methodically take control, a LAN environment could just break their airtight structure and playstyle due to pressure. Additionally, because Europe's brand of Valorant is a lot more complex and requires more coordination, LAN pressure and tournament nerves affect their playstyle much more than the looser, freeform teams. This means that the ball is in Europe's court to maintain calm and composition in the face of playing the first international tournament with a complex style that requires much more practice. If their structure crumbles down, they may not be able to rely on the freeform style and then could get overrun. But we're not just looking at 3 regions, as some of the lesser represented regions are not out of the game yet. While some of these teams at face value might seem weak, this could be due to the lack of representation in their scene, or just missing context on how strong the region is as a whole. However, these teams are the best out of their regions and definitely worked as hard as the major regions to qualify for Iceland. One team I think could potentially make a run is New Turn Gaming from South Korea. Do you guys remember the Vision Strikers who had a shocking 100-game winning streak in their region? Well, New Turn beat them to qualify. If it wasn't a fluke, this team could have the tools to give even the most established scenes a run for their money. Additionally, the nature of lag compensation in Valorant makes it so that the ping heavily skews how the game feels and plays. South Korea is a region with amazing internet and a very small area, which means that the Valorant that Korean teams have played up until this point is the closest to Valorant in LAN conditions, with no delay and no lag compensation. This could be a game changer for Koreans, as they have the most experience with LAN conditions so far. And another region with the same argument that can see the same benefits is Japan, who are also playing with servers in a closer proximity. However, Japan's Crazy Raccoon team is interesting, as their team composition is almost always the same. So either they're hiding some surprise picks, or they're all one-tricks of their agents. This could be good, and it could be bad, as on one side we can see some real technical mastery of agents, but on the other hand, this could prove to be a significant weakness in the versatility on certain maps. The other regions are dark horses that don't really have much international reputation or even information, so I'm excited to see what smaller regions prove their presence on the international scene at Iceland. So with the Master 2 rosters officially being confirmed on May the 9th, when the Brazilians and Latin Americans finish their qualifiers, I am super excited to see what kind of international clashes we'll see at Iceland. Maybe we'll see the dawn of new rivalries, or even see a dark horse team dominate the whole competition. But only time will tell. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to thumbs up, and also let us know what you think about your favorite teams in the comments down below. Also make sure to sub and hit that bell notification to keep up to date with the latest Valorant news, updates, and guides. We'll have more videos come out as the event unfolds. Once again, I've been Kangas, best of luck on the grind everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.